Hi, it's Mary at the Paper Turtle. Welcome back if you're a regular watcher, and welcome if you're new. I'm going to do something a little different today. Usually I do haul videos, which I'm not doing right now because I'm not hauling anything. So I figured what I would do today is not really a tutorial, more of a craft along, I guess, but you can take it as a tutorial if you've never done this before. And what we're going to do is, let me just show you a little example. We're going to end up making some things like this. And I'll show you these in more detail afterwards. But we're going to make them out of something like this. First, we have to make this. Now, you can call it a Frankenpage. You can call it, what do they call it now? Masterboard. You can call it collaging, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't matter what the term is. We're going to do it. Now, when I did these before, I did it on a great big huge piece of paper that looked something like this. This is 24 by 24 inches. This is kind of like a heavy tissue paper that came with shoes in a shoebox. You know, they wrap your shoes up in tissue paper. That's what this was. And what I did was I collaged on one side of it, using up my scraps. I've done a couple of them, and in one of the other ones that I did, that I've already cut up, I also collaged a little bit on the back. Because if you're making journal cards or tags, you want to be able to journal on the back of them. So I just did a little collage on the back to make it more interesting. Now, if you don't have a big 12 by 12 or 24 by 24 piece of tissue paper from a shoebox, use anything. You can use anything. You can use an old 12 by 12 sheet of scrapbook paper, even if it looks like this. Doesn't matter. You can use, I saw somebody do book pages. They did them really interesting. Let me see if I can find, of course I don't have one right here. But let's just say this is a book page and this is a book page. Pretend these are book pages. They just set them side by side and then collaged along the seam to connect the book pages. And then they did the back to make it a little bit stronger. And you can make those as big as you want. So whatever you have on hand is a base. It doesn't matter what it is. What we're going to use today is a paper bag. Okay. A little bit funky chewed up over here. We're going to cut some of that off. I'm going to open this paper bag up, and we're going to use that as the base to collage on. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to bore you with collaging this entire piece of paper, because this one is going to be huge once I get it all opened up. We're just going to do a little bit of it so that I can show you what to do. And then we're going to move on to the pieces that I've already got done. I like those cooking shows where they'll show them mixing something up, but then they've already got it done. Let's see. I think I'm just going to cut this whole end right off right here. Whatever you're using does not have to be any specific size. Doesn't have to be anything perfect. Huh. This is a receipt from my old scrapbook store that's no longer in business. That makes me sad. They've been there a long, 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 long time. They were a good store. That's where the bag came from. Alright, so I'm opening it up. Let's see. It's pretty good on the other ends. I'm going to just cut off this scraggly part over here. Oh, sorry. I know you can't see too much of what I'm doing in the camera, but just know that that's what I'm doing. Just to get us started here. And I'm not cutting this very straight. And that's okay, because we'll straighten it up later. Okay. So here's our background. This is what we're going to use. Now I'm going to pull out my scraps. I have, these are some of my scraps. What I did, probably a week or so ago, I don't know, I've lost track of time now, but one day I decided to take care of my scrap issue. I have a thing with drawers in it, and they're all labeled by color, and I've kept all my scraps in those drawers. Well, at one point in time, I ran out of room. Those drawers got full. I'm one of those people, I can't throw anything away. So I started putting my scraps into file folders. Still sorted by color, but they started to get a little bit chunky. So instead of doing what I intended to do, and that was to take the scraps in the file folders and put them in the drawers, once those file folders were getting kind of full, I started putting my scraps somewhere else. So I had scraps everywhere. I said, okay, that's enough. I've got to do something with these scraps. And so I decided to go through my scraps. Any little pieces I took out. I only saved big pieces. And then I went through, and all the solid ones I cut into sizes that I could use. I'm going to show you. I'm getting it. For tags and journaling cards. And this is my scraps that I've cut up that I can use. And I've got them in this shoebox, and they're right down next to me. And I've already gone into this several times to find things. So I think I'm going to use my scraps more efficiently. So the smaller pieces that I pulled out of that drawer, that's what I'm doing. And I've made 2 of these Frankenpaper masterboards, whatever you want to call them. I'm going to call them collage sheets. Okay, that's what I'm going to call them for the rest of the time. I've made 2 of them already. So this is my 3rd one. And if you'll notice, my pieces are kind of in similar color waves. That's because when I went through my scraps, I did it drawer by drawer, which are separated by color. And as I went along, after I did a drawer, I did a page. So they're kind of, by now they're all mixed up, but at first they were kind of very similar color waves. But when you do yours, you don't have to do any certain colorway, or you can if you want to. It all depends on what you like to do. I'm going to be kind of random here on this one because that's just what I have, is just random colored paper. So this size I probably would have kept normally, but I don't know when I'm going to ever use this again. So I am going to just tear into it. Now, when I'm doing these, I don't mind tearing. I like tearing. I like the look because it's just more random and more loose. Some people, if you want to, you can ink the edges as you go along. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to throw them on here. And so you just take your pieces and you glue them onto your paper. Very randomly, you can be messy, you can be, I'm using this square one to put right in the corner just because that's how I like to do. And then you just take your different pieces and you glue them all on there. And you just keep doing that until your paper, whatever you're using, is covered. Now, what was I going to say? I don't like to do the pieces too big, because if you do them too big, once you cut this up, you might end up with just that one color, which is okay if you don't mind that. I just think that I would like smaller pieces so that when I cut it up, I get a variety of things on my piece. And I'll show you what I mean later when we start cutting it up. So this is basically all you do. You just go through and you cover your whole paper with your scraps. Be random. Don't think about it. Just throw them on there. They could be any size, any shape. And every once in a while, I don't know if I have any in this pile or not. I might have to kind of look around and see if I can find one. I'll have like a picture from, yeah, I don't have any in this pile. Let me see if I can find one just to show you. A picture from maybe a leftover book page or something that, yeah, here's something in here. Maybe you had cut out something to use on a page, but then you decided not to use it, or, you know, something like that. Let me see what I've got here. I'm looking at these and I'm thinking, no, I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that. I'll find something here. Here's one. Okay, I'm going to put that in. So, here's a, oh, but that's cute. I'm going to keep that. So if you have something with a picture on it, you can, I'm going to keep that one. You can use that too. And when you cut it up, you won't even see what the picture was. You'll just get this splash of some kind of picture. It'll be random. It's just, I don't know. I find it fun. I find it relaxing. Something that I just enjoy doing. Actually, I think I'll make that a little smaller. Try to keep the word beetle in there for some reason. It probably won't come out, but... And you can try to, like I said, color coordinate it if you want to, or maybe a certain style that you like. However you want to do it. You just glue, glue, glue. So if you're using a thin background, like this one is kind of thin, it would help probably if you do the back. Then that's all up to you, depending on what you're going to use it for, what your backing is. You might like this. I'm going to just do some randomly on the back. And when I'm doing the back, I'm keeping in mind that the back is going to be used for probably journaling. So I'm going to use paper that can be journaled on. Like this. Either solid color paper, I have dyed paper, I've got some graph paper here. You could do some lined paper, whatever, on the back of it so that you have a really cool collaged back that can be written on. Jeez, I don't even know if you can see me. I think you can. Again, just different, like that one, different types of paper. So you would just continue and cover this whole thing. The back I would do more random. I don't even cover the whole entire back, just bits and pieces of it. This is just an example just to show you what I'm doing. So you would keep continuing, and you would end up with a collage page. Now, I had that one, this one here, that's 24 by 24 inches. Kind of difficult to work with a piece this size. So I cut it down, and I cut it in half and in half, well, in quarters, to give myself a 12 by 12 piece. This one is a little bit bigger than 12 by 12, I think. That's just under 12 by just a titch over. So it's approximately 12 by 12. And this I can work with a little bit better. I have this piece here that has come up. So I'll glue that back down. That'll happen once you cut into it. Some of your pieces might start to come up a little bit on the edges, and we're going to go through and after we cut it and glue those down, because that's just what you do. All right, so let me get rid of this pile of scraps. I guess I brought out too many of them as the example. I'm going to put all these away because I need the space. So, if you have a lot of scraps, dig into your scrap drawer, sort through them, get out these little pieces of scraps that you're probably not going to use anymore. You might think the paper's ugly, maybe it's outdated, maybe you're just sick of looking at it. But don't throw it away, because you can use it, and it's fun. Okay. So now we collage that whole sheet. We've cut it down to a reasonable size to use. It doesn't have to be 12 by 12. It's whatever size you want to cut it down to start with. Maybe your sheet's smaller. Maybe your sheet is only 12 by 12. And you don't need to cut it down to work with it. You can work with that. That's fine. See, now on the back of this one, I didn't cover all spots of it. I just did some random places on it. After you make your items, if you want to add more to it, you can. So, what I've done with this is I cut pieces, where are they? Like this. I cut some tags out. I cut some snippet squares. I cut some journaling boxes. So whatever size thing that you want to cut and use, then that's what you do. Now, these ones that I cut were approximately about 3 1/4 inches wide. I think I'm going to do some that are about 4 inches wide, just because I have all of those that are 3 and I cut a bunch that are 2. So I'm going to do some that are 4. You can do whatever sizes you want. I'm going to do some 4s and maybe some 3s and some 2s. Now, sometimes, depending on how thick your layers are, you might not make it all the way through, like I just did. So I have to kind of cut it where there's something thick right there. I don't know what's under there. I must have several layers right there. Don't worry if it's not exactly straight. Like I said, we can square it off later. Alright, so I have... This is not even straight. Look at that. But that's okay. We're going to cut it. Let's see. How about... like that. I'll do another one like that. That's 3 inches. So these are 4 by 3, and I'll do a couple 2 inches. And how big is this? This is about 4 1/4, 2. Okay. So you just cut your whole board up, your whole collage. Cut it into pieces that you will use for tags, journaling cards, whatever you want to use your board for. That's what you're going to cut them into. So then you end up with these. Now we're going to take these and we're going to decorate them. Actually, these are backwards. And we're going to decorate these. Now you might look at these and say, oh, they're kind of ugly. They're not really. As they are, you might think that they are. This is what you end up with. Some really cute stuff. I'll show you a little closer. This is a journaling card I made. This particular board, you can see, is a lot of blues and greens, because those are the scrap drawers that I used for this one, was my blue and green drawers. So I made this journaling card. I have this tag. I ended up sewing around this one. That's the first time I've ever done that. I'm not crazy about how it came out, but it is what it is. I have this journaling card, which I love. I love, love, love this one. And you can see at the back where the back is collaged a little bit. So that's kind of fun. I made this little embellishment square. You can add to this. This doesn't even need to be the finished product. When I go to use this, I might decide that I want to do something else with it. Maybe ink the edges, around the corners, add something else to it. Who knows? But it's a start. And this tag in the back of that. So they start out, maybe not so good, but we're going to work on them. So the first thing, I think that I'm going to make a tag out of this one. And you can see where it's coming up a bit. So we're going to first make sure everything is down that we want down. Okay. And I would do that before you cut into the whole board too. Just go over it and see if there's anything that's really sticking up that you can glue down. And I have a punch that makes the tops of tags. You don't always have to use this punch. And I'll show you that on the next tag. If you don't have one of these, not a big deal. I just happen to have one. So since I have it, I'm going to use it. And, you know, because it's punching through layers, sometimes it doesn't punch clearly, but that's all right. I'll just fix it. So there's one tag. Now the other one, and I'm sure that you've done these kind of things before. I'm going to just snip off the corner. Turn the corner over. Snip off the other corner. And again, we have a loose edge here. Okay. And when I do this, I'm going to do this. Okay. Now, you can take it to this point and stick it in your stash for later, if that's how you work. I'll probably, since I have so much of this, I'll have some that I don't finish and some that I'll work on. And if I'm in the mood, I'll go back and grab them and work on them. And just depends on what I'm in the mood for. Now, obviously, these layers have made this very thick and things aren't cutting. My punches aren't cutting through it, but that's all right. You can always fix that. Okay, so now I have two tags here. And I'm going to decorate them. And I think that this one, let's see. you have some flowers. Now, another thing that I do, a little tip, is when I'm sitting watching TV at night, I will grab one of my books that I bought to cut out of, and I'll cut. I'll just sit there and fussy cut so that when I go to do something, I've got images already, and I can just pick from the images. So that's what I'm picking from. That one's pretty. Doesn't quite stand out real well, but I think maybe if I put a little piece of this cheesecloth or something behind it, that might help it. Let's see. I bought this thing of cheesecloth at a thrift store. Paid like 50 cents for it or something. I had been wanting some, but you know, I like to always buy new, and so I saw that at the thrift store, and I was like, oh, cheesecloth, yes. It's so funny what will thrill me when I see it. Now, if you don't like your background, you can alter it. You can do different things to it to tone it down or liven it up or whatever. What I'm going to do with these, I'm going to put a little ink on them, and I'm going to ink the edges, and that'll give it, I need a sheet to work on here, and that'll give it a little bit of, it'll tone it down and it'll give it a little bit of an aged look. So it just depends on what you're going for. If that's what you're going for, then by all means, go for it. See, it toned down that white background quite a bit. And the reason that I'm going for like an kind of an aged look there is because of the back. I used dyed paper on it and stuff. Hey, if you don't have one of these, grab one of these. You can get them at the craft stores. They have a ball point tip on them on the end, so you can get these tiny little spaces when you need to. They're great, and the glue in them is pretty good. A little bit of something hanging off there. I'm a little picky about that. Some people aren't as picky, because really it gets hidden. You're gonna put stuff on top of it. You're gonna ink the edges, and it hides it. But sometimes I'm a real perfectionist when it comes to things, and other times I'm just like, it doesn't matter. Just go with the flow. Now, if you wanted to, on the back of your things here, you could put some lined paper. You could, I think on one of these that I did, let's see. This one I stamped lines using corrugated cardboard. This one I put some lined paper on. These others I left as they were collaged on the back. So just depending on what you're going to use them for, what look you want, just, you know, do your thing with them. And I think I'm also going to ink this one up too. Again, just because I think that that's the general look that I have going here. You know, some people, and I will at some point, and I have, do like real bright colored junk journals, if they do like the boho theme or just something really bright sunshiny colors, then you won't want to do the inking and the stuff if that's what you're going for. I think when I did my last one, I did a lot more gluing before I cut it up. And that's probably more the way to go, to glue before you cut, just because I think that it kind of holds things together better. Now this piece, I hadn't collaged on the back of this one. It just kind of the way it got cut, it didn't pick anything up. So I think what I'm going to do on that, because it really makes it a lot thinner, I'm going to add some journaling lines. Where's my bag of stuff? There it is. This is my bag of scraps of lighter stuff, like paper, like book paper and coffee dyed paper. There's some music paper in there. I just throw it all in a bag and I dig into it quite a bit. Is that torn? Yeah. Quite as big as I want. So you can add to your collaged pieces whatever needs to be added to them. That's pretty perfect. Okay. I had so much fun doing these collage sheets. I've done 2 whole 24 by 24 sheets, and I'm going to finish the paper bag one that I just started, and then I'm still going to have scraps left to do more, so I'll probably do more after that. And I'll leave them in different states of finish. Some of them I'll sit here and I'll finish so that I'll have a supply of tags and journaling cards. Some of them I'll leave maybe even uncut so that I can do something else with them. And some of them I'll just cut into tags and cards just to have on hand. And then at some point I feel like crafting, but I don't feel like working on anything in particular, I'll just grab some and work on them. Okay, I kind of like that. What was I going to put on here? Didn't I already pick something out? I thought I did. Well, shoot, what was it? Was it that? No, but it works. I kind of like it. I don't think that's what I had picked out. I like that. It's got the purple from back here in it. Yeah, I'm going to use that one, I think. And see how the that cheesecloth under there just kind of softens those colors up, so it blends things a little bit better together. I don't know if I want to do that on this one or not, or just leave it. I think I'll just leave that one. But I'm going to distress this a little bit. So last night I had a butterfly book out, and I was cutting out butterflies. And the book, oh, it's out in the other room, or I'd show it to you. It just has the most perfect feel to the pages and look to the butterflies. I'll show you some of the butterflies. I brought it in case I was going to use it. Yeah, where are they? I set it right in here. Did I take it out? Look at these. Aren't these gorgeous? Like the colors are, they're kind of bright, but yet they're still muted. It's a little aged a little bit. There's all different sizes. Some of them are with flowers. They were caterpillars. I love the book. It's gorgeous. When you're out thrifting and in estate sales, keep an eye out for them. Pick the books up, flip through them, see if they've got things in them that you like. Look at these. Just so pretty. And that's what I've been did last night while I was watching TV. I cut those out. Look at this one. Isn't that pretty? I may not use it like this. I may cut it up depending on, you know, maybe I have a bigger journaling card that I can use the whole thing on. Okay. That looks, I think those look good. I'll probably add a word to this one. And this, I feel like it needs something, but I'm not sure what. But let me glue this stuff down and see where we go with it. Now, you notice I switch back and forth between the glue stick and the wet glue. Well, I do that because it just depends on what I'm gluing and where I'm gluing it to. This particular thing, since I'm gluing it onto the cheesecloth, I wanted something that I thought was going to stick a little bit better than the glue stick. When I'm gluing down the paper to paper, like to make the these collages, I just use a glue stick because I think it's going to stick it down pretty well, or well enough. And there's going to be other things put on top of them to help glue them down too. There. Now, I'm not sure what else I want to do with that. I definitely want to do something else with it. Now, this one I'm gluing paper to paper, so I'm just going to use a glue stick. If you use the right kind of glue sticks, they stick pretty well. Cheaper glue sticks do not work well. Those things from the dollar store, no, don't get those. They might be good for something temporary or just to play with. That's what I give my kids, my grandkids, to play with. But I use something a little bit better. I think that's pretty. I think they both might need a little something else, but I'm not sure what. This, I think I might put a word on. Now, I'm having a problem with that because I'm running out of words. I'm not running out of words. I have a lot of words here, but I'm running out of words that work. I always feel like it needs to, whatever I pick out needs to go with the theme, you know? Like the little stars isn't going to work on this. And I've looked through these. Find your loveliness. Maybe I'll use that. I don't love it, but okay. And then this one, I'm not really sure. I don't know what that needs. I don't want to put another word on it. Maybe a little butterfly down here. Maybe a little one. I don't know if I have one small enough. I don't think I do. I think these are the smallest I have, and those are too big. Yeah, that's way too big. A bug? No. What can I put there? This? How about that? What do you think about that? Sure, why not? Now I have to see if this will stick. I don't know if this is going to make it stick or not. We'll see. It might hold. We'll see when it dries. All right. Oh, that's what I was going to put on there. Now, my tags need tops. So I have, you can use ribbon. You can use some string. Oh, let me show you. Oh, I meant to show you this. When you're looking for things to put on your tags and stuff, do you have one of these? It's my snippet jar. It's just a little jar where I throw all my bits and pieces of, there's fabric, there's lace, there's string, there's some flowers, little bits and pieces of leftover stuff from projects I throw in here. And then when I go to do something like this, or to make a snippet roll or whatever, I just pull out of this jar. If you don't have a jar like this, find any jar, box, whatever will do. I just like the looks of it. It sits on my desk, and I just throw things in it as I use them. So if I were looking for, say, a top to go on here, here's a little piece of ribbon I could use. I have a little piece of lace I could use. I have all kinds of things in here. None of them are working with this, but that's okay. I have little pieces, strips of fabric. I mean, there's all kinds of things in here. This is one of my favorite things that are sitting in here that I'm dying to use on something. I haven't made anything that'll work on yet, but I will. So get yourself a little container. I like a see-through jar because I like the looks of it, and throw your scraps in there. I go into this all the time, but I'm not going to go into it right now for these two because I know there's nothing in there. But I am going into my box of, in the scrapbooking world, many years ago, this was called fiber. Now it's just called trims. A lot of eyelash trim. There's, I mean, all different stuff. And I've had this stuff in here forever. So I'm going to find something that'll go with the colors I have in here. And that's going to be this for this one. And maybe something more green. And it's not all eyelash trim. There's also other textures, which I think I'm going to use that. And I bought up a whole bunch of this stuff back when it was real popular in scrapbooking. So I have this box full of it. And then, of course, I've been buying eyelash trim and stuff like that also. So I have older stuff and I have newer stuff, and it's a nice variety to choose from. And I think I want something yellow. So when I'm picking things to go on the tops of my tags, I try to pick different textures and styles, and I pick up the colors that are in my tags, and that's kind of what I go with. Oh my gosh, and I feel like that box, it's just a shoe box full, or a photo box full, but I feel like it's going to last me forever. I've been digging in it forever. And I like having, that one might be a little bit too long. I like having a nice long, what do you call these? Tassels, ties, whatever, at the top of the tags. And sometimes when I put them in my journals, I like them to stick out of the top so that they're all hanging out the top of the book. It looks really cool. Okay, so there's one. I think it came out pretty good. And then my other one. You can decorate these up however you want, of course, to go with your themes or your colors or random or whatever. And then these pieces, they go in your snippet jar to use them at a later time. Very cute. I like them. Okay, so that's 2 tags. Add them to my stash of tags. I'm going to make a journaling card. The same way, doing the same thing. You're just going to decorate it up however you want. This one, I think I'm going to round my corners. I think, what I do with my, oh, I put it away. Do you do that? Have your stuff out, you're working on it, and you can't find it. And you think you just kind of toss it aside, but reality, you actually put it away. Whoops. That came off the back. We'll put that back on maybe. And if a little piece like that falls off, you know, just kind of look at it and see if it's something you want to put back on or not. Maybe you don't. Maybe you just want to leave it off. Okay. Now these colors are a little crazy. I'm going to tone that white background down just a little bit. This one, if you notice, are all straight edges. None of them are torn, which is kind of funny because I must have just taken the scraps as they were and glued them on there and not, I didn't tear them smaller. Oh, that's not too bad. It's got a little tiny piece of something there. All right, this one, because the journaling paper is in that direction and it's already on there, I'm going to make the, I have to glue that down a little bit better. I'm going to make the card go in that direction. After I glue these ends down. Little pieces of the fiber getting caught up in the glue. Alright, so I'm going to make it go this way, whatever I do. I have enough room on here. I could do flowers and butterfly if I wanted to. This is gonna throw me off. I'm gonna have to cover that with something. Maybe a bigger. That's too big. Maybe one of those pieces with the flower and the butterfly on it that I have. Well, that's a big piece. No, that's too big. That one. It fits on there, but they still have that funky color in the background there. I think I have to do something else. Maybe a different style or theme or something. Let me think. No. Sometimes this is a challenge. Let me think. Let me think. What do I have? What do I have? I must have something that I can use on here with that color in it. Look in this container here. This container, which you can't see, I realize. Hold on, I'll show you. This is full of images that I have cut out and just stuck in here. They're all different types of images from books and magazines and all kinds of things. They're, you know, you can tell, okay, here's a group that I got cut all from the same book. Kind of random. None of these are going to work for me here. Snow, no. I don't like these scenery ones on here. I feel like I really have to do something because now you're all watching. Okay, what is she going to do? What is she going to do with that? That's kind of funky, but... I'm going to come up with something. I don't know what, but something. Pretty good at coming up with stuff. What's in here? I already told you how I sit and I cut images out while I'm watching TV. Sometimes I cut them out and I put them away and I don't know what I have. And there's, sometimes I feel like I'm really organized. This is all like seashore type stuff. Sometimes I feel like I'm really organized and other times I'm just like, no, I don't know what I'm doing. These look like a lot of florals and I don't know. That it's kind of pretty and I can cover up a lot of that. I don't know. What do I do with it from here though? I am stuck, you guys. I'm really stuck on this. This all came from one book, obviously. I could cover the whole entire thing up, but that's defeating the purpose. How do I get into that though? This is all like tea time, and that's pretty. But that's still not the right colors or anything. Oh boy. Alright, I'm going to work with this just for the sake of time. And I don't want to bore you too much. All right, how about a piece of fabric under it? Like, I don't know, something. Let's see here. What have I got that'll... That's pretty. It's too flowery, I think. That's pretty. You know, I could just cover that whole thing up completely. Wouldn't even know it's there. I guess I don't have to cover it completely. That's kind of pretty. I think maybe I'll put some buttons on it because I kind of think it calls for buttons, but I think I'm also going to tear this edge. I don't like that straight edge right there. Okay, and I'll be right back. I hope you're not too bored with this video. I'm trying to, I didn't think it would take me this long to do the actual decorating. I kind of got off on a sidetrack here. Those are pretty. They're too purple, aren't they? Too much purple? They need to be a little redder, don't they? Bigger. How about one big red one? And this, I don't know if you can see what I'm picking through here. Part of my button collection. Just one of my containers. It's kind of my first go-to, the first one I grab because it has a lot of small colored buttons in it, and that's what I use a lot of. Okay. So this, I think I'm going to try to get this off because it's just causing a lump, not adding to the thing at all. I don't mind the threads in the front, but it's still lumpy. I have to get the whole thing out. Sorry, I did not mean to have to do all of this extra stuff on camera. I thought I was really, really, really ready. There. Okay. That's kind of cute. All right. Let's go with that. Now, you saw what I just went through to figure out how to deal with that odd color on this particular piece. You just have to take your time and just kind of look through your stuff and see what you have and play around with things. And yeah, okay. Let me glue this down. So it started out as talking about the collage sheet, Frankenpaper masterboard, whatever you want to call it, has turned into a making tags and journal card thing, which I didn't mean for it to turn into that, but hey, you know, that happens. So now we'll have this journaling card with some nice texture on it and these cool buttons. Debating if I should actually put some string in them. I think I might. If I have something right here. There's one. I could go on. So I'm just going to add this little piece of string to the buttons just to give them a little bit of interest. Now I know I just cut some off of the button. Well, that was because it was really lumpy on the back. It was an old piece of fabric from whatever was originally the button was sewn to, the shirt or whatever, so I wanted to take that off. And all you have to do on these is just go down one hole and back up the other one, tie it off and cut it. And if you use something that's thick enough, you don't have to actually thread a needle or anything. If you're coordinated enough to tie it, not like me. Sometimes I just feel like I'm all thumbs. There we go. That's cute. I think it's cute. Now to attach my buttons. I like to use these dots. They're just glue dots, but they're pretty strong. So they generally hold my buttons on there pretty well. Actually, I think I'm going to use 2 on this one because they're small. So, there we have that one. I think it turned out pretty well. Trying to find something to cover to either go with or cover up that one color that ended up on there. And then the back of it has the nice journaling lines on it. I like that. So, what we've done, we went from our scrap pile gluing our scraps onto a background. Doesn't matter what the background is, it can be anything, to create a collage piece, masterboard, Frankenpaper, whatever you want to call it, to then create some tags and journaling cards or snippet squares or any number of different types of things. It's a great way to use up your scraps. It's a great way to build up a stash of journaling cards and embellishments, and it's a lot of fun. I had a good time doing this, and I'm going to keep on doing it and have a good supply of things. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you didn't, that's okay. Watch for the next one. Maybe it'll be a little bit better. I'm working on some journals that I'm going to be doing on camera. And see you later. I hope you're enjoying your quarantine time. Hit like, subscribe, leave me a comment. That's it. See ya. Bye-bye.